some new ESCs. I bought some other ones, but they didn't work out too well. As Simon K just did not quite like these motors very much. But at this point I got it set up, kind of the same setup as the hard drive motor. I've got the same little Arduino over here with the 300 or 433 megahertz receiver, and then I've got that same controller with the same stuff inside of it as that last video about the hard drive. At this point I already got it set up to where I didn't have to arm it. It's already armed. Let's go ahead and show off what we got here. This is like, that's barely getting into, you know, where we're spinning right there. And we'll just go to full throttle. This thing is really loud. But that right there is it pretty much. The next thing to do is actually toss in some brains. What I've got is I got a little 3.3 volt Arduino Mini. I guess it's 8 megahertz. And then the what is it, the 6050 6-axis gyro accelerometer chip. And then I've got these NRF L042, whatever they're called, these little transceiver chips. Pretty generic. I'm going to actually put one on the quadcopter and then one in the receiver, so that means I've actually got to tear everything out of the, out of the transmitter. Got to tear everything out of there, put another one of these Arduinos along with this, because it all runs off of 3.3 volts. So from what I know, they should be able to drive these ESCs. I'm hoping they can anyways. From what I understand, there's a pretty low threshold as far as where they see a high voltage as opposed to a low voltage or a low, but that's it at this point. I've only got it running, you know, this throttle just sends the same pulse to every ESC on here, and they all get the same information, and they all do a pretty good job about starting up on their own. Let's see here. The bad part I don't like, I ended up flashing these to the BlHeli, and the thing that I really don't like is the arming procedure, because when you plug it in, you have to put it to the mid stick at the right tone and then put it back down at the next tone. I'll see if I can show you what I mean here. It's like 3 beeps, then you got to put it to the middle. Once it beeps again, then you put it down, and then it should be good. Let's see. Just like that, and it should be good to go. Let's see what we've got. Yep, they all fire up pretty in sync. And the problem I was having with the C-Monk was that they did this weird, not like a twitch like this. This is a little bit different, but they at least fire up well. With Simon K, I think I was getting some sync issues. They would spin up, but they would sound like little 2-stroke motors almost, just like zzz, 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 that kind of thing. But I put BlHeli on these ESCs, and it cured it right up. I had to do a little bit of tuning to get it right. Like the timing had to go to medium high. I turned the DMAG on and low, and then I also, on the startup power, I put that at 0.75 instead of 0.5 like the default was. But that got it to where this is the smoothest I've seen them run it so far. That's 3 different ESCs, and finally got to these where I could put BlHeli on it, and that fixed everything. But yeah, like I said, the only problem is that arming procedure. I don't quite like that part. Have to put it to the mid stick and then put it back down. Who came up with a mid stick? Like, isn't there other things where you can just put it over to the right? I mean, once I put the Arduino in this thing, I can have it do all that stuff, and I can just program however I want it to arm, and it'll just run a procedure that'll actually arm the motors on its own. But at any rate, that's it at this point. Next thing to do, like I said, put brains in it, and it should be flight worthy. And that would be the next episode, I'm sure, or next update rather. I don't know if I really do episodes, but yeah, next update should be either after the code's put on it, or I'm troubleshooting it, or it's in the air, one or the other. But oh, you know what? One other thing, I almost forgot to mention. A little bit of a safety thing here. Keep your fingers away from the propellers. It'll eat them up.